Hello and welcome back to Imperfect Parenting with my beautiful wife, Brittney, and myself, Ben, here again. Kind of rhymed.
Congratulations.
I've been rhyming with Delaney a lot lately.
You two are cut from the same cloth.
Actually, I put her in a Google Doc with me and wrote like 5 poems.
Again, you two are...
We're having fun.
You are so funny. They walk the same, guys. We know it's either Delaney or Ben because the way that they walk. You both leave your shoes everywhere. So I
can come back to them.
Yeah. And there's probably that's exactly her reasoning. She's like, why would I take them upstairs? I'm like, okay.
Genius.
Exactly. Okay. Cool.
It's the first time I've had this conversation and we're doing it live. I like it. Anything else you want to bring up?
No.
Cool.
But there's a lot of similarities you two share. You laugh at yourselves the most.
I love my girl.
I know. Well, I don't know what was happening the other night, but she was laughing so hard she could barely contain herself. It was pretty funny.
Her boyfriend was in the room too.
Oh,
that was funny.
I was just thinking she reminds me of you so much sometimes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But speaking of our girl,
you should do this one.
Our meme for today. It says, my Saturday night plans, picking my teenage up from her Saturday night plans.
Seriously.
Yep. My life now is whatever you're doing. I'm waiting around, especially if you can't drive, until I can pick you up. We went to the fair and I was so thinking we were going to get out of there by 9:00 at the latest. We didn't leave until 10:30. And I thought, this is because this is her bucket list thing to do. She has a thing for all this summer, and that was on there. But
we got 10,000 steps in because we were just walking around trying to pass time.
We did.
Want to get back around the fair again?
My feet hurt after that.
10,000 steps?
Yes.
That's like Disneyland status.
Mm-hmm.
It was. My feet were aching. We were only there.
County fair.
I mean, I got 9,300 something. You got a little bit more than me, but you were moving around during the day. I was literally at a desk all day on Friday until we left. So, crushed it.
Wow.
Crushed it.
Good job.
Yeah, I know. Okay, here's our question for the day. You ready?
No, I am.
Okay, great. Doesn't each situation warrant a different parenting style?
Mm.
Or is that what engaged style is? A mix of all in a very minimal increments, staying within the boundary set, which...
Intriguing question.
I know.
I like this. Someone's really digging in, trying to figure it out.
They are. Go for it. I will give you it, and then I will tell you what I think.
I'll tell you what you did wrong. You did this like, I'm about to share. You're funny.
We discussed this before, so I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows at all? I'm going to leave your shoes everywhere. So here's my thoughts.
You put them back on when you're leaving.
I think the part of the message that Brittney has put together so well in the book, and then if you got to be in the room ever when she's preaching, if you are in the room in the future and you say, I'm an hipster, she'll give you a hug.
Maybe. That was a maybe.
Oh, sorry. But the point for me right here is, other than engaged, the other ones really are, it's our most stressed out self. It's the worst version of us showing up. And so I'm not sure that I'm looking for my aggressive side. I'm not looking for my passive side. The engaged side, and I think probably to point to your question, the way I see it, the way I believe it, is hiding in the engaged is everything we need. Because the engaged parent's going to show up with some challenge when needed. The engaged parent's going to show up with empathy and just listen when needed. I'm not living from my stress or anxiety. I'm living from my engagement and intentionality. And it's just a different motivation. So I would think about it less of engaged is all those things put into one. Engaged is the best version of me showing up and staying engaged in the present, not reacting to the pain, the stress, the anxiety.
I'm so glad that's how you answered that.
Whew.
Because it would have been really awkward if I'd be like, wrong.
Go read my book, Ben.
God, completely wrong.
Gosh, I was nervous.
I think it's the same. The part that I would add, I guess, to it is I think the authoritarian, the passive and permissive, they all are fueled by fear.
Mm-hmm.
They're all afraid of something. And so in the in the inability to be leading in love, like we kind of talked about before with Seth on one of these episodes, is, we have this, we control and introduce fear because we love you. I think all of those things, like, well, I'll just absorb this and not correct your disrespectful behavior because I know you're having a hard time and I love you. And I won't ever address it later and lead you. I will challenge you right here and now. I will confront you in this because you don't get to talk to me that way because you don't want to go around and think that you can treat anyone like this. So let me show you how it's done. I'm here in fear, permissive. I don't want ever for you to not like me. So gosh, what if you reject me? And I'm afraid we would never have a relationship. So we'll just go with it. Yeah, we probably, that's chill. So I think fear is still very much the motivator of the other one, which is why I could never say yes to this question. I think you explained it well in that the engaged parent is assertive, which would probably feel like an authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bringing something that's confrontive. I'm bringing something of challenge. I am asserting myself into this situation, but I'm not trying to control you and I'm not ruled by fear. I think the engaged parent, that compassionate place of, ouch, wow, here I am. I know when to be assertive and when to let compassion be on display and empathize with you as you spiral out of control because you're scared. Because my main motivation is love. In both of those places, I'm going to be assertive. I'm going to be compassionate. The permissive of letting you, not wanting you to reject me or not knowing how to set a boundary because of that rejection. I think this place is, I'm going to let you experience this pain and this consequence. I'm going to let you have this risk, but I'm right here with you in it. I am not afraid of the consequences that are coming. So those are the places that I think that they're comparing them to. And I could see that sounds that like it's the same or variations of it, but I think there's just very different motivations. I don't think that you can have an authoritarian and have love leading it.
Yep.
I don't think that you can have a permissive style of parenting and have love leading it. And I don't know that you could even call that the health stance of them. So that's why it's called engagement. It's a completely different piece that we're aiming towards, and the main motivation is love and connection. So I'm also super black and white, and that would never work in my world that I create. Wrong, right.
Yeah.
And so I just don't think that those are the pieces. I think we all have our default.
Yep.
And our goal is to live in engaged parenting as much as possible. And I'm sure my authoritarian still shows up, and it's still, I can have an engaged parenting and then there's a sprinkling of an authoritarian on there. And then I got to figure out if I want to keep that sprinkle on top or if I want to take it off, and that's just kind of the wiring.
The thing I keep thinking about as well is we have to bring this to the life of Jesus. That's the ultimate example we have. And he never handled the situation the same. He was engaged in the moment to show up with what was required. He wasn't just using one thing every single time the same way with every situation that showed up like this, because this is what we do. Mm-hmm. Which I think is what happens when fear shows up. I have a reaction to fear, so I just do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so for instance, the little girl, the daughter of someone, is dead. Jesus comes in and he has everyone leave the room and says, "She's just sleeping. Everyone get out." If you have doubt, go away, pretty much. And she stands up. They're like, oh my gosh, she was just sleeping. No, he raised her from the dead. But with her, that's how he did it. With Lazarus, he waits 3 days.
That's real smelly.
He weeps, and then he raises from the dead. But it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
With Peter and Judas, both denied Christ. Very different situation in how he dealt with it. So I think when I look at that, when I'm as a parent, when I apply it to my parenting, I'm thinking, I want to be in the moment and show up with what's required because I'm responding and I'm present and I'm engaged, not just react to something because I'm scared.
And I think the styles are more a reactive space. So
beautiful.
Yep.
Good question.
Again, if you're looking for giving us questions, info at Loving on Purpose is a great place to do it. And if you're looking to go on vacation anytime soon and you need some help, you want to go to rentsforbaby.com and enter your promo code Imperfect Parenting. Get 10% off.
This is our sponsor. We love them. They're bringing excellence to 0 to 5 vacation baby experience. So helpful.
Ken, I remember going to Disneyland, I think, when Addie was like 4 months old.
Yep.
And she didn't sleep very well with us. So we got a crib from the hotel. And what they wheeled in, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not putting my child in that. I'm pretty sure that thing has been through who knows what. And that was before COVID was a thing. I'm like, I don't know. She's just going to be licking that thing nonstop. That's the thing I kept thinking about. She's going to be licking that thing.
Ew.
And then I'm going to have a sick child. So the other thing that I really like about Rinse for Baby, what they do is they really pride themselves on their quality of cleanliness and their process of actually cleaning everything. So as a mom who cares about those things, not only is it top of the line quality stuff that they have and their service is excellent, they are sanitizing these things to the same quality. Because I think most of the partners that they have that are all over the states are all families.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just people that like get it.
They get it. Yep.
Which is also super fun that you've got kind of this family business partnering with other families who have the same standard of, yeah, we care that our baby is going to suck on this railing of the crib and not get sick. It's great. So,
and it's one less thing to think about when you're going on vacation. You know, all the details when you have little kids and you want to get away and
all the things I don't have to think about.
Create some memories.
As fast to Vacation Brittney as possible.
We like Vacation Brittney.
Yes.
We like all Brittneys.
Yeah.
It
Vacation Brittney is much more fun. That's what we name me when I'm on vacation. So.
All right. So rentsforbaby.com. Letter 4? Number 4. Wow, I got stuck there.
Letter 4.
Letter 4. That's D. That would be the D. So that's not what you want. rentsforbaby.com. Number 4. Promo code Imperfect Parenting. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're probably just curious by it. They have Instagram and all that stuff, so you could find them that way too.
We're gonna make it unforgettable. They're gonna be like, "What's the letter 4?"
We could come up with our own jingle for them. Well, not right now. Let's do that right now. All right, we're gonna go into the topic. I think this topic actually was inspired by our trip to Taiwan.
Yep.
It was a common theme that came up in the relationship conference and the parenting conference, and even conversations at lunch and different meals that we were having, and even Seth and Ben and I were talking about like running into it, so it was just interesting. So it felt like we bring it here.
Mm-hmm.
How about that, guys? Welcome to our little world. So honor or manipulation? That's what a fun title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you choose?
Which one do you choose? And is there a difference? Yes.
Well, it's we're laughing about it, but I think this has been confused, clearly. And we watch this over and over again in Taiwan. And in their culture, I think it plays out in different ways in other cultures.
I would say in the States that the South has this culture really loud. I would say Hispanic culture. I don't think it's not isolated to Taiwan.
No.
It just wasn't. It became loud there, and then it was just interesting to think about. So it's everywhere.
But it's this idea that especially with the older generation of the grandparents, with the parents in the middle and then the children, is that honor means you do what we say, and you don't really have a say in this, parents. You honor us, which means we get to manipulate you to feel bad if you don't do it or you don't want to do it.
You don't do how I do it.
And then you have to end up doing what I said or doing how I said it, because that's honor. And that's really where this title comes from. It's this confusion between, is honor that I should feel manipulated, or is honor something different? And I think clarifying this is important because we're passing something down. And I think what we watched a little bit in Taiwan is the people our age, the parents our age, are beginning to recreate this, even unaware, not even aware of what they're doing. It's just so normal and so ingrained that they're having to actually really think through, do we want to build something different?
Yeah, and I mean, the Gen Z and Alpha that are coming up are more emotionally aware earlier than any other group of young people. And when I say emotionally aware, I mean that expressing their emotions different than processing them, but expressing their emotions, I feel like I'm sad, so I don't want to go to work today, so I won't. And you have to be okay because I'm taking a mental health day. Okay. My generation and the one above us is like, whatever the heck that means. Good luck with that. Get your tired butt up, and I don't care if you don't feel like it because you're sad to work. That's the previous generation. This generation is mental health is a real issue. We should talk about this. We should be aware of it. I'm not disregarding that any of that's true. I think it swings from one extreme to the other. I think that's why we've got a lot of the gender confusion going on right now. I feel like this, so I am this. I feel like that, so I am this. I mean, the fact that there's a they, them, I don't understand that part. And I think it's all tied to, I am calling it my feelings. And so we're stuck in this world. So this next generation coming has big feelings. And I think ultimately they're craving authenticity and to figure out, how do we do this better than what we had before us? Now, what are we going to do? Because we've got this interesting, Gen X and baby boomers up above us, the millennials here in the middle. And then down here, we're like, what is going on? So how do we play to honoring this, but we've got to do something different here? Because what I was observing in Taiwan is, they're heavily influenced by Japan and China. And so they often have their grandparents live with them, or the parents live with the adult children who have children. They can't put them in homes. They're meant to be responsible for them. But maybe it's a financial burden or it's too hard, all these things. So they want to put their parents somewhere else or whatever. And then there's a bunch of shame and a bunch of guilt. And you're dishonoring me if you move me into a facility. And so the millennial generation in the middle doesn't want to be disrespectful and dishonoring. But they also don't really respect these people above them. And then they're looking at their kids going, well, since I had to do this to them, you got to do it to me. And this generation's going, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to do that. Good luck. And I think because the Gen X and Alpha are so exposed to, really, the internet has created a whole nother world for them to tap into. What are you going to do? And so how do you help foster true honor given this tension? And I think it's in the States as well. A lot of parents are like, my grandparents think I should just spank my kid. I don't want to spank my kid. What do I do with that? So I just minimize how much my parents come over. We just do it in different ways.
Yeah.
And so they feel manipulated. But these parents want to be honored and respected.
Yeah, I think honor isn't an obligation, meaning, I forget where it talks about this. We read, I mean, it might be Hebrews. I cannot find it right now. I found it for some interview we did in Taiwan, but it talks about how God loves a cheerful giver, not one who does it by obligation or because they have to. It's this choice we make. And I think that's part of honor too, is I'm choosing your stature in my life, the way you treated me with honor, the way you show up in my life, that draws out this gift of honor to give back to you, but not because I have to. That's something different. Because the Bible talks about honor all people. So, which means every person is worthy of honor. Every person has the ability to receive honor from me. But I think that's the thing we have to begin to teach our kids by probably giving honor. I have high value for you, child. I have high value for your emotions. But they're not going to run our house. They're not going to be in charge of our home. And they're going to be the thing that determines our joy or not. That doesn't get to be in charge of us. But I have really high value for you. And that's going to be the experience here. So we begin to create this whirlwind of honor around us. This is what we do. This is how we live. And not because you have to. You don't. And we'll find that out pretty soon here. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. And, I think we honor people in a position and we give them that place. I think if you were to take it, the next step is respect is something that is often earned by how we foster our relationship. And so a lot of times I want to be honored and respected. Well, I can honor you as my parents and have value for your input and I will respect your opinion and give it a space in my life when we foster this connection in this relationship. And so part of that is this other breakdown is understanding that I get to give away honor and I want to develop respect in our relationship. Yeah. Which it kind of all feels a little bit tied together, but they are two very different expressions in that relationship. So, if you've got parents that demand honor and respect, but it's hard to find a place to respect them because that demand, that's where you feel manipulated. I think you could still practice this place of honor towards them.
Yeah.
And doing it well, because it's kind of like keeping your love on. It's, I can give you that. I can make space for us to have this conversation. I can, make space for you to happen in this relationship. It might have some limitations. And if they feel that, I get to say, well, I don't really feel respected in that I'm the parent of this child, not you.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to have you be a part of this, but this is as far as it goes until that changes. And that's kind of the difference in my head for the two of honor and respect. And I don't have this culture happening with my parents, except for the occasion when my dad calls our children as if they're partly his.
Our Father in heaven.
Yeah. He does. He loops them all in. But just the other day, he's like, I'm living for my grandchildren. And I'm like, I guess that makes sense. But, I won't be offended at that. You skipped over me, but it's fine. It's fine. But I just remember kind of the best story I have of us walking out what being honorable and gaining respect from that as far as a parenting situation was when Lincoln was about 3, 4. He's about 4 years old. And he was throwing rocks over the neighbor's fence. And he says he was aiming for lizards or flies or something like that.
Probably true.
But the neighbor, who we'd never really met, very like military, I think he was in the Navy, something like that. He came to the house, knocks on the door, and hands me this baggie of rocks, which was funny in itself. And he said, someone from your house has been throwing rocks into my house. And I know this because these rocks don't look like my rocks. I was like, okay. And I thought I was particular. So
I've been counting my rocks.
yeah. So I turn around and the girls are looking at Lincoln with their hands on their hips, like we all know who it was. And I said, girls, thanks. I will handle this. Because they start going in on Lincoln. And I said, Lincoln, did you throw these rocks? And he says, no. Okay. That's usually a trigger spot right there for parents, is that they lied. And then we got caught up on that. I'm like, let's just bypass that. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you this again. Did you throw rocks over the fence? And he said, yes, I didn't mean to. I was trying to fly. Because the guy went on about how throwing rocks over his fence was dangerous because he has his grandbabies that play there and somebody could get hurt. And that would be really bad if someone got hurt. So Lincoln's thinking about all these little kids that could have gotten hurt by him. So I started explaining to him how our neighbor has to feel safe, that we're going to protect him and be honoring and respectful. So that was the first introduction I remember really having with our son around honor and respect and taking care of our neighbor. And I said, you got a mess to clean up, buddy. I mean, you would have told him that I was going to cut his toes off. He was acting crazy. He was just absolutely shocked that I would be asking him to go clean up the mess with the neighbor. And so we practiced kind of what he was going to say, after we got to like what was the mess and all the things. And so I have him walk down to the neighbor's house and I knock on the neighbor's door, and I startled the neighbor that we were down there and said, my son would like to talk to you. And so Lincoln steps up to the door, and this man did an excellent job. He got down on his knees, and Lincoln said, I'm sorry for throwing rocks. I don't want to hurt anyone's babies. And he's crying. And then he said, will you forgive me? And the man said, of course. And then Lincoln turns around and runs to the end of the driveway. Man stands up and he looks at me in a bit of shock that I required my son to clean up his mess. And he said, I don't really know what to do with that. I wasn't expecting that. And I said, well, we believe in taking good care of our neighbors. And, I don't think it was intentional to hurt anyone. And I doubt that it'll be happening again. And I think what that neighbor experienced was honor and gained respect for our household. And it's, he came in with a little bit of manipulation.
Scared.
And
he came some scared. Yeah.
And we showed him what honor and respect really looks like.
Yep.
And so I think that's what we're trying to get at is, even if you're faced with this as manipulation, you don't have to retaliate back with it. And even if your kids do it or your parents do it, I think your ability to understand what honor and respect looks like and to lead in that kind of changes even your perspective. Because I could have been like, how dare that man come up here giving me rocks? Like, I don't know what they look. I mean, I could have gotten all sorts of righteous on his approach or ridiculousness to all of it. But I could see past all that, which is I'm listening better than you're talking.
Yeah. And, he's looking at you ultimately, but he gets to experience honor from a 4-year-old. Because Lincoln's willing to confront his own. You want me to talk to that man? I think he was a sea captain. You know what sea captains act like? But just the opportunity for him to experience a 4-year-old going, I want you to feel honor because you're around me. I want you to experience respect. And even in the middle of setting boundaries with our parents, with our grandparents, with whoever this person is you're thinking of as we're having this conversation, even in the middle of saying, this is what I'm willing to do. This is what I will be doing. And if they don't like it, they still get to feel my honor.
Yeah.
They still get to feel my love coming towards them.
That's great. It was a fun episode.
It's a great story. Love that story.
I know. It's a fun story. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
On Imperfect Parenting.
Hipsters.